Hello. We are going to do another shot commentary about shots that I did and then comment on them. All right. So this first one is from a Bevmo ad that we recently did. Bevmo and GoPuff are a similar company now. I think forget who bought who, but yeah, they are one and the same now. So we did this spot kind of late last year for Bevmo, and it came out super cool. It was directed by Arthur Gregorian, who is also a fantastic gaffer. He wasn't gaffing for this one, but he's a genius guy. So if you guys need a director, hire Arthur. Tell him I sent you. Um, this one is a Bevmo spot that we did for Bevmo late last year, and the opening shot of it was this. And we wanted to show a couple things, the welcoming, happy Bevmologist, and then the cute couple coming in. Simple shot, over the shoulders, boom, boom, medium wide, kind of a cowboy kind of vibe right here. She doesn't really move in this shot. These couples, the couple here kind of walks in. So they do a couple steps in, and the camera was like kind of dollying in forward to give us motion. So that was all of that. So the interesting thing about this particular spot was we shot in a real Bevmo store, but we didn't have access to, we didn't have enough time, money, or budget to like replace everything in it with ours, right? So these lights are their lights. We couldn't replace them. And we couldn't turn them off either because, one, if you saw the light in the shot, it would look fake. But two, we needed the building to be lit. So this was a situation where we had to like add light rather than maybe necessarily take some away and figure things out. So we had to start basically with that clean slate. And the way that we approached this was we have a big softbox kind of going through I think it was I don't remember exactly what unit it was because things move so quick. But I think it might have been some sort of Nanlux light, or maybe it was, I think, a custom light that Arthur has made called like our 4x4 Duplo or something like that. And what it was basically was basically like a big ass light mat, right? Where you have your square and you have your LEDs in there. I think it was like, it's like um four tubes, four light tubes, or maybe it was an LED grid, like an array of LEDs. I don't really remember exactly. But then you put some diffusion over it, and it's like 4 feet by 4 feet, right? So you put some diffusion over it and it makes it really soft, and you get your soft light. And you can put like an egg crate on it, and you can basically make that a little more focused. So the soft light goes in one spot, right? So we did that, and then I believe we had like an 8 by half grid as well that we were pushing through. So that was getting us basically all of the light that's hitting him right here, and then most of her level, if not all of it, really. And so, yeah, that was that. There's not really much fill because we're kind of coming in somewhat at a straight angle. I do know that we had a light off to the side, off frame here, that was coming in and pinging her hair. So you'll see there's a little bit of a brightness on her hair right there that we're hitting. You can also see that right here on her hair, Tina's hair. And you can also see a little bit of that on him, though that might have been coming from one of the overheads. I'm not sure. And then, yeah, that was basically it for this one. I know we had another light somewhere off down, way off frame to the right, that was also shooting into the ceiling, adding a bit more of a room tone just to help with what they had, and put a bit more of a better color. And then the last thing that we kind of threw in here was we had some light hitting this little beer bottle or champagne bottle chandelier thing. So that was lighting that up and making that come to life a little bit more. So yeah, pretty simple shot. You'll notice a lot of things. It's almost like the same lighting setup almost every time, right? You're just like playing with ratios and just trying to make things look interesting and all that stuff. And yeah, I love the eye lights that are in her eyes here. It's very lively, and yeah, just a good old Good old-fashioned commercial spot. Moving on, we have another commercial. Oh, I think we're doing all commercials today. Okay, sick. So this was also for Chanel, for the numero I did Chanel, beauty ahead of time, whatever. I don't even know what this does. Revitalizing cream. I think it's like face cream or something. But yeah, so this shot was on basically on a white cyc, and we had one of those little kind of like rotator thingies. I forget what you call it, the lazy Susan or whatever. So we had like a lazy Susan that was kind of like right here, and it was a smaller one, and it was sitting right, we had it right lined up with the eye line level, so the horizon, I guess, so like you wouldn't see the back of it, right? So if you look really closely here, you cannot see behind this. Like this was perfectly level, right? So we did that in the actual shot. It's spinning from right to left or whatever way it's spinning. I can't remember. And we reveal the cool the logo here. So the way that we lit this was, we have a light hitting the background, which is just white, and that's obviously creating the white background. So that's pretty self-explanatory. And then to light this, we had, I believe what it was is, you can tell it's kind of darker on this side just by a little bit, right? So what we had here is basically we had a big softbox off to the side, and we shot that through, and that was hitting this. Now, the way that we got this light reflection is, I believe what I ended up doing for this reflection here, because I don't think we got it with the initial soft source, is I think I took another light. I shot this so long ago. I think what we did was we took another light, a hard light, at a relatively low level, and we just pinged it. And so basically the way that this was reflecting the light for us, it was kind of making this sick ass kind of straight line. It didn't really matter where you put the light. It was always a straight line up and down. So we placed it where it wouldn't obstruct the hero shot of the logo. And that was basically it for this one. The liquid inside was really thick. I don't think we did a backlight for this one. It doesn't look like we did. I think any backlight that would have been coming from this is just bounce light from the back wall. So yeah, this was a really cool one. The only thing that was necessary that had to be done at the end was cutting out the lazy Susan, extending the background with white, and then I think they put this black line in the frame, so it kind of looked like it was sitting on something. So yeah, that was this one. All right, another commercial this was a part of a series called micromercials, which were basically like literally 15-second ads. And so the spot here with this was like, she's frustrated about not being able to afford eggs, and then this guy's arm comes in, gives her the eggs, and then some text comes up on the top of the screen here, and it says, "Don't do that," because she's like, "I'm gonna lay my own damn eggs," or whatever. And then guy's arm comes in, eggs pop in, and then the text comes up. It's like, "Don't do that." So pretty funny, little thing. And yeah, I mean, the light on this one is honestly pretty simple. We have two things going on. Basically, we have some kind of back edge light that's coming from here, and that is hitting her hair here, right? And then there's a little bit of backlight you can see rounding over this guy's arm just a bit, and you can also tell from the lightness of some of the hairs here that's coming in. Then you can also tell from the shadows of here. We got shadows here. So we got a backlight that's kind of pushing in. That's a little hard. It's actually pretty hard. So I think it was probably bare bulb or on a Fresnel or something like that. And then for our key light, we have, if you've seen the last breakdown, there was another video from a similar spot that I did with this. It's basically just a light that I probably double broke with a softbox through an 8x half grid or full grid. It was probably a full grid for this one, right? And then right next to that softbox, or that 8x, we would have a softbox on the side, just so we can get a full wraparound of light, from light to dark, and then control our shadows and everything. So yeah, most of the heavy lifting on this shot is the color blocking. We got blue here, we got red here, we got green here, you know, and then skin tone. So it's like, that's honestly doing a lot to make the shot look interesting. But yeah, moving on to another kind of simple shot, but we have this talking head frame for a kind of like an explainer video. This was like it's for a children's curriculum, so we wanted it to be very like light and airy and bubbly and like have a lot of bright colors and feel really just really fun and inviting to come in. So for this one, we just have, you know, our similar kind of key light hitting our talent here. I believe what we did again is something I just do all the time, is just I'll take a bright light and I'll either put a softbox on it, or I'll just throw it straight through an 8 by or a 10 by diffusion, you know, half grid or full grid. And that does so much work for you. Especially for a scene like this where you can let the light bleed out a little bit more and go everywhere, it just makes really soft shadows, makes really flattering on the skin, you know, like she's just glowing. And we just really wanted that kind of like, you know, it's not quite realistic for this particular thing is what we wanted. So I wanted this to feel kind of like uppity, you know, very up there. You'll notice there's a hair light happening right here, and then this hard light outlining the edge of her shoulder, and you can also see it here. So we have another light that we have probably on a menace arm or something boomed over. It could be like a Pavo tube or a Titan tube potentially. I don't really remember exactly what the unit was, but we have, you know, that's the stuff that I'm looking for and trying to discuss how these shots were made as if I didn't make them, you know, which at this point I don't even remember, so I might as well be. But yeah, so we have a backlight hitting that top part of her, outlining that. And then the last thing that we have here that I think would be notable is there's some light hitting the back like kind of structure here, like this rock structure, and you can kind of see like some splotches, almost as if like, you know, the sun is poking through some trees or whatever. And that's basically this. I mean, again, like very simple. When you're doing commercial, this was actually really hard to light. It may not look like it, but this was very, there was a lot going on here especially between all the other shots and everything like that. But yeah, I mean, generally speaking, you're trying to follow a few set of rules, and you're generally looking for a very similar aesthetic, you know, throughout a commercial. So that was a fun little deviation into my commercial work, and yeah, see you next time.